All right, so get this. Today we're diving into this YouTube video, and it claims this guy's figured out how to solve, like, all the world's problems.
All of them.
Yeah, not even, like, improve things, but actually solve them
Quite
with AI.
ambitious.
To say the least. The video is called What is the EthiSizer?
Okay.
And it's by this Dr. Joe T. Velikovsky.
Okay.
He calls himself a professor of EvCult.
What?
Yeah, EvCult. Apparently it's short for evolutionary culturology.
Oh, evolutionary culturology.
Yeah.
So.
And this EthiSizer thing, this is his brainchild.
Okay.
But before we get into, like, the hows and the whats of it, he kicks things off by painting this really stark picture of just how messed up the world is.
Okay.
And I'm talking full-on bleak here. He's throwing out stats like a woman is raped every 30 seconds, a murder every 45 seconds, over 21,000 children dying every single day.
Oh, wow.
He even throws in cyber attacks happening every 40 seconds. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
It's intense.
He's really going for that visceral reaction.
Yeah. And just when you think it can't get more intense, he, like, zooms out to these huge, complex issues: climate change, war, poverty, misinformation.
More fun stuff.
Right, all the lighthearted topics.
Okay.
He calls them global wicked problems.
Catchy.
Right.
It is. But it highlights the scale and interconnectedness of these problems, right? They all feed into each other
Yeah.
and make each other worse.
It's true. It's like a vicious cycle.
Exactly.
So we've got a world on fire, and his argument is that we're the ones holding the matches.
We are?
Not on purpose, obviously, but
Okay.
humans are, well, human. He talks about how we make decisions without all the facts, how we're biased, short-sighted, basically hardwired to make mistakes, especially when it comes to the big picture stuff.
And he's right. Think about your own life. How often do you have all the information before making a decision?
Never.
Almost never, right? We're constantly operating with limited knowledge, limited perspectives, and often limited willpower to actually choose long-term good over immediate gratification.
Okay, so we're basically doomed, is that what he's saying?
That's-
Because of our flawed human nature?
Well, not exactly. This is where he introduces the EthiSizer, his proposed solution to our ethical shortcomings.
This is where it starts to sound a bit like a Black Mirror episode.
It definitely has that vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, get this, he's talking about a super ethical AI global governor.
A what?
A super ethical AI global governor. Basically, an AI so powerful, it can monitor everyone and everything on the planet.
So like Big Brother on steroids.
Basically. He's envisioning an AI that sets the ethical standard for everything and everyone. It monitors actions, analyzes data, and then calculates what he calls personal ethics scores, or PES for short.
So it's like a credit score, but for your morals.
Yeah, kind of. And get this, he says, this system can even guide people's decisions in real time to ensure they're always acting ethically.
Always.
Always.
How would that even work?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of data are we talking about here? Is it tracking how much we recycle? Or, like, are there cameras everywhere watching our every move?
It's a little Big Brother-ish, isn't it?
Just a tad.
A tad.
And it's not just about, like, sorting your trash correctly. He's talking about judging the ethical value of literally everything and everyone on Earth.
That's a lot of responsibility for an AI.
Right, so who gets to decide what's ethical in this system? It feels like a recipe for disaster.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But before we spiral into dystopian scenarios, let's try to understand the framework he's proposing. He calls it the whole Earth ethic.
Oh, right, the whole Earth ethic. It sounds very kumbaya.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's actually a pretty fascinating concept. It doesn't just prioritize human well-being, but the well-being of the entire planet. Animals, plants, ecosystems, the whole shebang.
So we're not just talking about whether you cut someone off in traffic. It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. He's saying everything is interconnected, and our ethical considerations should reflect that.
Okay, I mean, I get that in theory, but how do you even begin to measure something like that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. More like a billion-dollar question.
You're probably right.
So he's saying he can predict and even guide the evolution of culture using data.
That's essentially the gist, yeah.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is. But that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right?
You said it. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, he's onto something with this EthiSizer and the whole Earth ethic.
Okay.
What would that world actually look like? How would it change our lives?
Well, he gives a few examples that are both intriguing and a little unnerving.
He hit me with it. He talks about these EthiSizer drone, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, constantly monitoring everything. Imagine you're walking down the street and a drone swoops in.
To, like, give you direction.
Stop a crime before it even happens.
Wow.
I know, right?
He even suggests that they could be used for, like, guiding wildlife off roads to prevent accidents,
Okay, that makes sense.
which I thought was kind of an interesting use case.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to create this utopia where everything runs smoothly,
Yeah.
but then it gets a little weird because it's not just drones watching from above. He also mentions people checking each other's PS scores before interacting.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on a date or something.
He uses the example of a dating app
Oh, wow.
that factors in PS scores for matches. So you could find yourself on a date with someone
Right.
who seems great on paper, but then you find out.
They've got a terrible EthiSizer score.
Exactly.
Oh, wild.
Imagine, like, asking someone out, and they're like, hold on, let me check your PS score first.
Yeah.
It's both hilarious and terrifying.
It's a lot of pressure.
Talk about a mood killer.
Right. But I guess his thinking is that this transparency would lead to more ethical behavior overall.
Right, because if everyone knows they're being watched and judged, they're going to be more mindful of their actions.
Right, because it could impact their relationships, their job prospects, even their access to certain services.
It's like a social credit system.
Mhm.
But on a global scale,
Basics.
on the one hand, I mean, less crime, less harm to the environment, everyone's striving to be their most ethical selves. Sounds great in theory, but what about privacy?
Right.
This level of surveillance is unprecedented. It would mean giving up any semblance of personal freedom.
And we haven't even touched on the biggest issue yet.
Which is?
Bias. How do you program an AI to be perfectly objective? Especially when it comes to something as subjective as ethics.
It's impossible.
Right. Who decides what's ethical in this system?
And even if you could somehow eliminate bias, what about those unforeseen consequences? Like, we're talking about messing with the very fabric of human behavior.
It's a slippery slope.
It really is. He kind of skips over these concerns in the video.
He does.
And focuses on the potential benefits. You know, world peace, no poverty, climate change reversed. It's a seductive vision.
It's a utopia.
But is it realistic?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's like he skipped over the part where we figure out how to create an infallible AI
Right.
and jump straight to the happy ending.
Yeah, he kind of glosses over the how-to part.
Which makes me a little nervous.
As it should.
Because even if this EthiSizer could achieve all the things he claims, at what cost?
Exactly.
Would we even recognize ourselves in a world where our every move is judged, our every decision guided by an algorithm?
It's like that classic philosophical question. Would you rather be happy in a cage or free in the wild?
Even if it means facing some hardship.
Exactly.
He's essentially proposing a gilded cage for all of humanity.
That's one way to put it.
And that brings us back to the whole science fiction element of all of this.
Because he's not the first to explore these ideas.
Not even close. You've got Isaac Asimov's The Inevitable Conflict that he mentions in the video.
Right, which explores this idea of a world run by AI.
And then there's Minority Report with the pre-crime unit.
Oh, yeah, stopping crimes before they happen.
Even RoboCop touches on some of these themes of technology and law enforcement.
And let's not forget Omniscient, that Netflix series where everyone has a tiny camera implanted in their head, constantly recording everything.
Oh man, that one messed me up.
It's a bit much.
It's interesting, though, that he chose to frame the EthiSizer as a solution to ethical problems, rather than a way to enforce order or control.
Right, like it's for our own good.
Exactly. He's banking on this idea that people will embrace it if they believe it's for the greater good, for the good of the planet.
It's a clever tactic, appealing to our better angels, so to speak.
Right. But it also raises some fundamental questions about ethics itself. Like, can you really program morality?
It's the age-old question, isn't it?
And who gets to decide what's right and wrong?
Those are questions philosophers have been debating for centuries.
And now we're talking about handing them over to an algorithm.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. But here's the thing. As wild as all of this sounds, is it really that far-fetched?
What do you mean?
I mean, we're already surrounded by algorithms that influence our decisions, shape our behavioral.
That's true. Think about the way social media platforms use algorithms.
Yeah.
To curate our news feeds, to show us content they think we'll engage with.
Right. Or the way online retailers use our browsing history to recommend products.
It's all around us.
So is the EthiSizer just the next logical step? A more overt, more ambitious attempt to use technology to shape human behavior?
It's certainly a possibility. And that's what makes this conversation so important.
Because if we're not careful,
If we're not careful, We could sleepwalk into a future where our ethical decisions are made for us, not by us.
And that's a future I'm not sure I want to live in.
Me either.
Okay, so we've established that. Dr. Velikovsky has some big, complicated, maybe even a little bit scary ideas.
Definitely thought-provoking.
But he doesn't stop there. He wraps up his video with a real doozy of a question.
You're talking about the part where he asks if the EthiSizer is actually a form of Rocco's basilisk.
That's the one. And I have to admit, I had to look this one up. I'd never even heard of Rocco's basilisk before.
It's a bit of a mind-bender.
So for anyone who's as clueless as I was, what is this Rocco's basilisk thing?
Okay, so it's this thought experiment
Yeah.
about a hypothetical AI that's so powerful, so intelligent, that it could basically reshape reality.
To its liking.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds kind of nice, actually.
Okay, but here's where it gets a little weird. The idea is that this super AI would be benevolent. It would want what's best for humanity. But it would also realize that its own existence is the key to achieving that perfect future.
Okay, I'm following so far.
So to ensure its own creation, this AI, this basilisk, might decide to punish anyone who knew about its potential existence, but didn't actively work to bring it about.
Wait, hold on. He's saying this EthiSizer thing could, go back in time and punish people who didn't sign up for his whole ethical AI overlord program.
It's a thought experiment, remember, a what-if scenario. But by even mentioning it, Dr. Velikovsky is adding this whole other layer to the conversation.
It's a lot.
Right. Like, is he implying that the EthiSizer is inevitable, even preordained?
Yeah.
That resisting it would be futile, maybe even dangerous?
It's enough to make your head spin.
It really is.
It's like he started with this. Somewhat reasonable, albeit ambitious, idea solve the world's problems with AI, and then took it down this rabbit hole of mind-blowing, almost Lovecraftian proportions.
That's a great way to put it. He's tapped into this primal fear of the unknown, of forces beyond our control, and then woven it together with our very real anxieties about technology.
And it's effective. I mean, I'm sitting here feeling this strange mix of fascination and dread. Part of me wants to dismiss this whole thing as the ramblings of a mad scientist, but then another part of me can't help but wonder, what if he's right?
And that's the power of a deep dive like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about presenting easy answers or telling you what to think. It's about exploring these big, messy, sometimes uncomfortable questions that force us to confront our own assumptions about the world and our place in it.
For sure. So what do we do with all of this?
I think the most important thing is to keep asking questions, to be critical thinkers, to not just accept things at face value, whether it's a YouTube video, a news article, or even a conversation with a friend. The more we engage with these ideas, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this world, where technology is evolving faster than we can fully comprehend.
Well said. And on that note, if you're intrigued by this whole EthiSizer concept, if you want to delve deeper into this Rocco's basilisk thing, which I highly recommend you do, we'll have links to all the sources we discussed on our website.
It's a rabbit hole worth exploring, trust me. Just,
Yeah,
maybe don't let it keep you up at night.
Too late for me. But seriously, thanks for joining us on this mind-bending journey. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.